everybody, and welcome back to the Star Wars Expanded Universe, now read by Disney, or Lucasfilm, whichever way you slice it, Legends. Today I have, as of right now at least, the very end of Swtor. Nothing more to really look at until updates appear, and even then it probably wouldn't be enough to do a video on, perhaps a little 2-minute little mention of it perhaps, but we are reaching the conclusion, and then we'll move forward with Lost Tribes of the Sith, finishing that off with the last two stories within that collection, the comic book, all of Knight Errant comics and novel, and then the Darth Bane trilogy, and then we officially begin the prequel era. But the last thing we really have is the Onslaught DLC. Or not DLC, the expansion. But I don't have too much to say about it. Really, we get to see some old friends again. Kira and Scourge. I don't think that's too much of a spoiler, but we do get to see them again, which is nice. Malgus, we fight him. He gets away. And then there's a bunch of little story additions. There's a little section with the Mandalorians. There's really what you would feel would be a really big expansion, but is confined to this really small little thing where Tenebra / Vitiate / Valkorion, there are these acolytes, followers that are trying to bring him back, and there's some sort of residue of him remaining, and it's imprinted on Master Satele Shan, so that's something they have to deal with. And then the most recent update, which I think came out this year, with going to Dantooine, and Malgus is like, my chains are broken. And he seems to be rogue. He's against both sides, both the Alliance and the Sith. He doesn't care. He is against both of them now, it seems like. So, but that's the last thing we've seen, and that was 5 months ago or something like that. So, I don't know what's going on with Swtor, but as of right now, for my journey, I might make up updates, being like, oh, hey, this new patch is in. It's got a couple new things added in there, story-wise, boop-de-boop-a-doo. But other than that, we are done with Swtor. I don't really, again, that was pretty much it for non-spoilers, even though I kind of said some stuff, but I was just trying to give you a synopsis. It was okay. I was still engaged. I still enjoyed it more than I enjoyed the base game, I think, at least when it comes to the Jedi Knight storyline. So that was interesting. But, should I really recommend it? I mean, if you've been playing it or watching it all the way up to this point, I'm going to assume you would want to try to finish it. But I don't know. I think I do have some big issues with the very end of the stuff I saw, especially since it came out more recently, and it seemed like they didn't do the research fully. I mean, I was happy to see some characters that appear, but it seems like they didn't do their full research, and it kind of bothered me. The way it ends with the Tenebra, Vitiate, Valkorion stuff is kind of a good place to end it. I might think about ignoring the rest of it until it's finished, but I don't know, because it kind of bugged me. But I'll discuss that in spoilers. That's pretty much it. This is the end of Swtor. It's been an interesting journey watching the Jedi Knight storyline play out throughout all the expansions and whatnot. And I'm excited to see what going forward with the expanding universe has to offer. I'm excited to actually go back to reading something and whatnot, because I do miss doing that. So that is pretty much it for non-spoilers. If you don't want spoilers, now it's time for you to go. Otherwise, here we go. Tao, the black girl I talked about in the last video, she now has a Padawan, and he's like a cyborg sort of guy, and I really enjoyed that part too. I think, if I'm right, I'm not getting confused, this the Onslaught expansion is where they go to Onderon, which we haven't seen since KOTOR 2, so that was interesting. But yeah, her Padawan is, this cyborg dude. I really enjoyed her dynamic with the Padawan, because as I said, I enjoyed her character in the last like little story-based content, and seeing her trying to be a master now and trying to teach, you know, someone else was, I enjoyed it. The Wookiee and the droid from the Forged Alliances expansion or story arc, whatever, come back, and they're really fun as always. The Devorian Galt that we met during the I think it was during the Eternal Empire story. We get to see him again. That was cool. It's mostly me just talking about people we get to meet, not too much about the story itself, because I is okay. But we get to see Kira and Scourge again, you know, and Scourge is like, you know, I'm getting emotions again, which I've had in a long time, and I don't know what to say about it, but I know that I want to stick by you forever. And you can flirt with him if you want to, or you can be like, yeah, that's what friends are, man. And of course, if you had a relationship with Kira, then romantic stuff happens with that. Although, however, at the very end of the Onslaught sort of story, we learn that a sort of kind of iffy version of Valkorion may still be a threat. There's like this last little nugget of him remaining that's somehow being implanted on Satele Shan, and if he can take control, he can come back, right? Like, because right now he's really weak, but if he's able to pull that off, he can come back again and yet again cheat death. And that's where we get to, well, before we do that, there's this little tiny story section called The Task at Hand. That's what you do next. And at the very end, you get to see Zareed and Aaron from the Deceived novel, which was interesting. But they kind of screw that up later, and I'll discuss that. Next will be a little short thing, Signal from the Noise. Then a conversation that the Mandalore is having with Jakaya Ordo. Then after that, you would do the biggest story thing here, which is the Echoes of Oblivion. It is the end game, basically, of the Tenebra Vitiate / Valkorion story. Yet, what I like about it is because since it's not like a real expansion, the stakes are technically high, because this evil being, this man that has survived for so many years, can come back. But at the same time, it's all in somebody's head, so the rest of the world, they wouldn't even know about it, you know, like what they did. But you get to see everyone. This redeems, you know, the ending that we had in the Eternal Throne, where Revan didn't finally get to say, F you. No, everyone, Scourge, Revan, Mitra Surik, Mar, everyone that we've ever met, you know, that has been hurt by this man, by this Tenebra, gets his comeuppance, and he's finally and utterly, at least that's what we're supposed to believe, is utterly destroyed forever, never to be a threat again. Don't worry about his living forever thing. It is done. Now, if I remember correctly, the Darth Plagueis novel, I think it speculates that he might have survived past that. Though as for me, since I don't think we'll ever actually get any confirmation of that, besides, you know, Plagueis' wanderings, I would much prefer that this truly be the end of Vitiate, here and forever. That in his younger self version, his arrogance is his comeuppance. It was really cool seeing, though, having like the original form, Tenebra, the red-skinned Sith, seeing Vitiate that we originally saw in the base game, you know, even though he sounds different and looks different. And then Valkorion, all three standing together, but are one. I really like that. In fact, I liked it so much that instead of having the Onslaught little art for the thumbnail, you're going to have a picture of all three of them standing together, because it's really cool. That was about that. It's a really nice send-off, I think. I think it's a good place to end it. Though, of course, there's still loose threads, you know, like Malgus and whatnot. But Spirit of Vengeance. This is basically a Mando tale. The Mandos are kind of fractured, I guess. And that's pretty much all I have to say about that. But that's like nothing new. Are they not always fractured? Except for the past. The Dark Descent, a little story edition. Here's the thing. So, during the latest thing, the newest thing that came out, they talked about Arn and how she fought Malgus at the sacking of Coruscant and survived. But that's not what happened. And that was a big thing for me. I'm like, what? Did you not read the Deceived novel? Her master was there. The master that we see Malgus fight in the Deceived trailer was there. But she was on Alderaan. Because the whole thing was supposed to be a peace treaty was supposed to be made. And Malgus used that opportunity to attack the temple. But she was not there. Later on, she did come to Coruscant because her whole thing in that book was she wanted to kill Malgus. She had this hatred that she could not get rid of. She had to kill him for killing his master, her master. So she does eventually fight him at the temple, but then they get away because Zareed saves her. And then later on, they have another fight, and Malgus allows her to leave, but says that if he ever sees her again, that he will annihilate her. And that was only because she did not kill his love interest of the book. The Twi'lek that you saw in the trailer, if you read the Deceived novel, is the woman he loved. And he even admits that at the end of the book. Spoilers for that book, but pissed me off. At the end of that book, he kills her because, that she's tying him down. And then, but yeah, so that is completely inaccurate. And I don't know how they did that, but it upset me. It might have just, I don't know. I'm a big thing with continuity. And this is the newest thing to come out. So they have every possible information available to them. I'm happy we're getting new EU, but not if it's going to contradict the past. I mean, it was a very small thing. It's still a contradiction. Also, there's cross sabers in Swtor, but the in-game items aren't necessarily canon. So that was a very Disney influence because crossguard lightsabers like Kylo Ren had never existed in the old canon. So whatever. Anyway, but we get to that final one. Malgus is basically going rogue. He's going against the Empire. He's going against the Jedi. He threatens Arn. And then the DLC, or the expansion, or the little story section thing, patch, whatever you want to call it, just kind of ends. And that's, as of right now, all we have with the Old Republic MMO. So, as for what happens in the future, I'm not sure what will happen, but I am curious to see where to go with everything. I might wait a few years, go through the expanding universe again in chronological order, get to the MMO, actually play it myself, and maybe by then, all the storylines will be kind of finished off. But though you can't kind of do that with an MMO, because the moment you do that with an MMO, it becomes irrelevant, right? Like, I don't know. I mean, World of Warcraft does a good job with that, but who has time? Anyway, I think that's going to be it for me today. I've enjoyed my journey through the Old Republic MMO. I think the highlights definitely were the Shadow of Revan, and both the Eternal Fleets. I think that was them at their peak. Now, I know a lot of people have issues with them because it was like a lot more single-playerness than MMO, and I get that. But seeing as someone who's here mainly for the story, who doesn't really care about the gameplay side of it, like, the gameplay can suck. As long as it's a good Star Wars story, I'm going to stick with it, because it's Star Wars expanding universe material. Like, I'm sure Jedi Fallen Order, I've seen, somebody play it online, and the gameplay certainly looks better than a lot of other games that, has come out of Star Wars, but at the same time, it's new canon, and new canon doesn't really interest me, and it doesn't seem like they did anything really new. For example, sorry, I'm just going to go off a little tangent here. He goes, the main dude, he goes to Dathomir, and there's this, like, dark Jedi dude, and he is literally just Jorah Sabaoth, minus being a clone. He's not a clone. But, like, he has the same hairstyle. It's the same kind of look. I mean, he's not exactly the same, but, like, that's Jorah Sabaoth. Anyway. Point being, I've enjoyed my time. I'm ready to move on and see what else the expanded universe has to offer. So up next, we finish the Lost Tribe of the Sith until they basically become irrelevant till Fate of the Jedi, but, that's what we're going to finish. And then Knight Errant. And then, yet again, I mean, I've already done a review for it, but I might just do a little update saying, like, how I feel about it now after coming back to it. It'll probably be a shorter video of the Darth Bane trilogy. So I'm excited for all that. I hope you'll join me for all that. Until next time, may the Force be with you.